When I was 13 years old, I got drunk for the first time. And it went a little something like this. I drank a little something. I totally flipped my mind out. I laughed my balls off. I threw up. I met God, and then I passed out. I was not prepared to meet God. It was a life-changing experience, and I felt like I had found like this hidden key to this far-off carnival with rides and cotton candy and carnies and music. And I was just overwhelmed by the experience. And now that I had God's address, I figured I could visit her anytime I wanted. She lived at the bottom of a bottle. Try saying that 3 times. Bottom bottle, bottom bottle. Anyway, it was when my theory, my God went from just a theory to an experience. And I called her Euphoria, because she made me feel so connected and liberated and loved. So it was not too surprising that by 18, I would find myself in an AA meeting. I had a sincere allergy to alcohol. And I'm sure to some people that might sound like a stigma. And stigma, for anyone who's taking their SATs tomorrow, is, is a mark of disgrace on a certain particular circumstance or person. But I did not carry a mark of disgrace. I was, and have always been, quite shameless. And besides, at this point, we're really at a time of completely destigmatizing everything. Isn't it refreshing? Yeah. Nothing is disgraceful. Everything holds a bit of holiness. So I feel about the stigma on my alcoholism the same way I do about my last name, which is Muldoon, which I picked for myself, which was my mother's last name. Muldoon means chief of the fortress. And after my first divorce, I felt like it was a really good fit. So I could no longer visit God at the bottom of a bottle. I got sober. I had to find her in other places. I went to the Baha'i church on Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles, which is spelled the same way as rodeo, but for some reason they don't pronounce it the same way. Anyway, I went to Agape with Reverend Beckwith. I studied Ram Dass. Well, these are all, you guys know, we had the same library. Ram Dass, Ernest Holmes, Don Miguel Ruiz, and of course, the Course in Miracles. I was thirsty. I was so thirsty. And I ended up becoming a spiritual practitioner, a priestess, but really I didn't become those things. My soul was always those things, in the same way that Kathy's soul was always a rock star, and Olivia's soul was always an angel. I did yoga. I learned to chant Om, Om, O-M, and you string it together. O-M, 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 M-O-M, 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 Mom. I was pretty sure they got that ass backwards. And so I began chanting, Mom. Is there anything more beautiful than the name of God as Mom? Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
I agree.
But but these were just the things that led me to the threshold of euphoria. And then finally, I was invited one day to go to Florida to an ayahuasca ceremony. It sounded so fancy, a ceremony. Wow. So I was surprised, though, to find that it was very much like alcohol, I mean, basically, I drank a little something, I laughed my balls off, I threw up, I met God, and then I passed out. It was exactly the same. But this time, I was prepared to meet her because I had done all of that preparation. So it was less like an escape into alcohol and more of an initiation. And once I met her, my mind was blown. I felt like the carnival was back, you know, with the rides and with the cotton candy and the carnies, except it was different this time, because this time I wasn't experiencing the festival. I was the festival. I was the music. I was the carny. I was the cotton fucking candy. I was like, wow. And Euphoria corrected me. She said, no, you have that backwards and upside down. Mom. And there I was, experiencing this euphoria, and in the middle of it, my other brain started to work, and I started to get really pissed off. Because I knew that this was true. Like Olivia knew that it was true. Like Nancy knew that it was true. And yet, I knew that I was also somewhere in the grand scheme of things, a mom with kids in the suburbs of Chicago. And I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to go back and do that? But I really do want to do that, and I really do love who I am here. And Euphoria said, you went out to Los Angeles, you played all those roles, right? And you didn't get stuck in them. And that's all you have to do is come back and just play. Play like a wife, and play like a friend, and play like a priestess. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So I did. I came back just to play. And so now I see her everywhere. Not just in my prayers or practice, not just in clients and friends, but everywhere. However, there is one place that brings me closer to her than any church I've ever been to. Nature, but of course, Mother Nature. And I go there like she's my secret lover, and I am intoxicated with her. And I see her every day, and on the days that I miss, my skin curls, my mouth twirls, my mind twirls. And I believe that she's in love with me too, by the way she just displays herself. She's never told me directly, but she confesses in 1,000 different ways, in 100 different languages, and I feel her breath waiting my return. And still I can't be sure, because although she's everything, she seems to shift a million times a minute, this quiet queen of change. Drives me crazy. I watch her swagger through stages, conceiving of everything. This rich, fertile, her creations breathless, her extensions beyond measure. Her reach leaves me in awe, and every year I watch her die. Leaving first in a grand blaze and then falling generously, laying waste to all, holding on to nothing. Although it happens every year, it never seems rehearsed or rote or repetitive. It always feels like the last time again. And then snow. Her snow covers all of her wrinkles and well-worn paths. Her snow supplies open spaces and blank canvases and silence for listening to the emptiness, which has so much to say. And the clocks stop, and the time stands still, and everything slips to the back burner, and in the silent nights, I hear her soft and thick sighs. Fertile fields lay barren, naked beneath the stars, and she just dies. But even before my tears dry, she comes stretching and melting away her white ways, giving over to the mud and the murkiness. The seeds begin to burrow, grabbing hold of her like 1 trillion children, rooting for her nipple, digging in, latching on. And she, the mother of all mothers, cradles these fragile capsules of tenacious life that dwells and swells and sprouts in each seedling and every sapling. And there she goes, creeping and caressing every field with fresh flowers, these immaculate conceptions not manhandled. They come first from these without fanfare, gentle, like the slow illumination of a star against the early evening sky. And she springs. And when she springs, she just catches my breath, teasing me with promises, releasing rivers held in ice, her blush, her boldness, dancing on the thawed streams, wet and wild, and returning with sunlight, this effective aphrodisiac. Anybody just get a glimpse of that sun today for a hot second? Man, how many fucking days of gray, right? Yeah. This sunlight, there's nobody happier in the world than Chicagoans after winter. I learned that. This sunlight warms the world as lust and love tumble down the hill, frolicking and French kissing and finally fucking each other. Leaving little litters of lambs and doves and does in their wake. And she, the noble midwife, supplies a steadfast devotion till they're all birthed and bloom and burst and bear fruit again and again and again. She's this awkward dancer, tripping over herself, growing wild and twisted, twirling and teasing us to taste and treasure her. Her cup's overflowing, she slips and spills and splashes, and then almost instantaneously dismissing these messengers of gardens and grapes, and the fire of fall returns, and she sets the mountains ablaze, leaving me blinded by her brilliance. Unstoppable, this master artisan who honors the ebb and flow, thinking nothing of letting it all go. Letting it all go. But not before laying waste to it, all of her best work, over and over. She bulldozes her inventions, burns all her museums. Nothing is preserved, ashes, ashes, it all falls down, lighting herself ablaze, almost extinguishing herself in the end, like the Buddhist monks who spend their days and weeks working in sand and delivering the most intrinsic mandalas, only to have it be destroyed, because in the end, they know what she knows, what we should know. The end is never the end. And fall fades to winter, and off she goes, retreating into caves and crevices and leaving all that can be left. She goes gray, unapologetically gray, and she's gorgeous in her gray. She takes herself all the way down to the bone, and yet there she is, always there, ever always there. I'm enamored, I guess you can tell, and I'm dependent on her, a creature of her nature, as I meander through her woods, normally stumbling in like a scattered junkie, too loud, too wrecked, too much. But when I'm with her, there's nothing to measure. I'm just right, and nothing more is expected of me. And oh, you'll like this. She's polyamorous. I mean, if you're interested, I would. I should share her with you. I mean, she needs to be shared. She'll take your breath away and then fill your lungs with a banquet of benefits. She'll teach you how to dance with change. So cancel your Netflix and cancel your scrolling and cancel your gym membership and find a path in the woods and go there and walk 5,000 steps and then turn around and walk 5,000 more. And follow the lead of this chief of the fortress, that's me, and you will find that all that you once thought was disgraceful is the very thing that holds your holiness. So come to the threshold of euphoria. Join me at the carnival.